Then it came to the turn of the soldiers of the garrison. The tailor of the company, armed with his big blunt scissors, cut off their queues. They shook their heads and touched their lips to Pugachev's hand. The latter told them they were pardoned and enrolled amongst his troops. All this lasted about 3 hours. At last Pugachev rose from his armchair and went down the steps, followed by his chiefs. There was brought for him a white horse, richly caparisoned. 2 Cossacks held his arms and helped him into the saddle. He announced to Father Gerasim that he would dine at his house. At this moment arose a woman's heartrending shrieks. Some robbers were dragging to the steps Vasilisa Egorovna, with disheveled hair and half-dressed. One of them had already appropriated her cloak, the others were carrying off the mattresses, boxes, linen, tea sets, and all manner of things. "Oh, my fathers!" cried the poor old woman. "Let me alone, I pray you, my fathers, bring me to Ivan Kuzmich." All of a sudden she perceived the gallows and recognized her husband. "Villains!" she exclaimed, beside herself, "what have you done?" "Oh, my light, my Ivan Kuzmich! Bold soldier heart, neither Prussian bayonets nor Turkish bullets ever harmed you, and you have died before a vile runaway felon." "Silence the old witch," said Pugachev. A young Cossack struck her with his sword on the head, and she fell dead at the foot of the steps. Pugachev went away, all the people crowding in his train. Chapter 8: The Unexpected Visit. The square remained empty. I stood in the same place, unable to collect my thoughts, disturbed by so many terrible events. My uncertainty about Marya Ivanovna's fate tormented me more than I can say. Where was she? What had become of her? Had she had time to hide herself? Was her place of refuge safe and sure? Full of these oppressive thoughts, I went to the commandant's house. All was empty. The chairs, the tables, the presses were burned, and the crockery in bits. The place was in dreadful disorder. I quickly ran up the little stair which led to Marya's room, where I was about to enter for the first time in my life. Her bed was topsy-turvy, the press open and ransacked. A lamp still burned before the kibit equally empty, but a small looking-glass hanging between the door and window had not been taken away. What had become of the inmate of this simple maiden cell? A terrible apprehension crossed my mind. I thought of Marya in the hands of the robbers. My heart failed me, I burst into tears and murmured the name of my loved one. At this moment I heard a slight noise, and Polashka, very pale, came out from behind the press. "Oh, Petr Andreevich," said she, wringing her hands, "what a day, what horrors!" "Marya Ivanovna," cried I, impatiently, "where is Marya Ivanovna?" "The young lady is alive," replied Polashka, "she is hidden at Akulina Pamfilovna's." "In the Pope's house?" I exclaimed, affrighted. "Good God! Pugachev is there!" I rushed out of the room. In 2 jumps I was in the street and running wildly towards the Pope's house. From within there resounded songs, shouts, and bursts of laughter. Pugachev was at the table with his companions. Polashka had followed me. I sent her secretly to call aside Akulina Pamfilovna. The next minute the Pope's wife came out into the anteroom, an empty bottle in her hand. "In heaven's name, where is Marya Ivanovna?" I asked, with indescribable agitation. "She is in bed, the little dove," replied the Pope's wife, "in my bed, behind the partition." "Ah! Petr Andreevich, a misfortune very nearly happened. But, thank God, all has passed happily over." The villain had scarcely sat down to table before the poor darling began to moan. I nearly died of fright. He heard her. "Who is that moaning, old woman?" said he. I saluted the robber down to the ground. "My niece, Tsar, she has been ill and in bed for more than a week." "And your niece, is she young?" "She is young, Tsar." "Let us see, old woman, show me your niece." I felt my heart fail me, but what could I do? "Very well, Tsar, but the girl is not strong enough to rise and come before your grace." "That's nothing, old woman, I'll go myself and see her." And, would you believe it, the rascal actually went behind the partition. He drew aside the curtain, looked at her with his hawk's eyes, and nothing more. God helped us. You may believe me when I say the father and I were already prepared to die the death of martyrs. Luckily the little dove did not recognize him. Oh, Lord God! What have we lived to see? Poor Ivan Kuzmich! Who would have thought it? And Vasilisa Igorovna and Iwan Ignatiych. Why him too? And you, how came it that you were spared? And what do you think of Chvabrine, of Alexei Ivanitch? He has cut his hair short, and he is there having a spree with them. He is a sly fox, you'll agree. And when I spoke of my sick niece, would you believe it, he looked at me as if he would like to run me through with his knife. Still, he did not betray us, and I'm thankful to him for that. At this moment up rose the vinous shouts of the guests and the voice of Father Gerasim. The guests wanted more wine, and the Pope was calling his wife. Go home, Petr Andreevich, she said to me, in great agitation, I have something else to do than chatter to you. Some ill will befall you if you come across any of them now. Goodbye, Petr Andreevich. What must be, and it may be God will not forsake us.